Okay, so when you think of the Buddha, you probably picture statues, right? Maybe some kind of god. But let's just forget all that for a minute. Today, we're going to talk about a man, a mortal man, who went on one of the most incredible journeys ever. The quest to simply wake up.
See, the man we call Buddha never claimed to be a god, not at all. He just saw himself as someone who is awake. And that is literally what the word Buddha means. This one idea, this concept of being awake, is the key to his entire story.
But that kind of begs a huge question, doesn't it? What does it actually mean to be awake? Well, to figure that out, we have to go all the way back to the beginning, to a prince who had literally everything but knew absolutely nothing about the real world.
So his story starts inside a beautiful cage, a gilded cage, built around a prophecy that his father was desperate to stop from ever coming true.
Here's the deal. When the prince, Siddhartha, was born, a prophecy was made. He had two possible futures. Path 1, he becomes a great king, a conqueror of the world. Path 2, he becomes a great saint, giving up everything for a spiritual life. Now, for his dad, the king, a man of power and war, only one of those options was going to fly.
So the king basically decided to rig the game. He built this perfect paradise for his son, a world totally sealed off from reality. And he had some very strict rules. Siddhartha was never ever to see old age or sickness or death. He wasn't even allowed to see a monk. Anything that might make him ask the big questions was completely forbidden. And you know what? The crazy thing is, it worked. For years, Siddhartha lived in this bubble of pure pleasure, and he genuinely thought that this palace, filled with nothing but young, beautiful, healthy people, was the entire world. He had no clue that suffering even existed.
But you can't wall off reality forever, right? Sooner or later, cracks start to show. And for Siddhartha, this led to the massive turning point in his life, his first trips outside the palace walls.
On 4 secret journeys out into the city, his perfect world just completely shattered. First, he saw a stooped, frail old man and learned about aging. Then he saw a person covered in sores, ravaged by disease, and learned about sickness. Then he saw a dead body being carried away and learned about death. And finally, on his last trip, he saw a peaceful, wandering monk. And that planted a seed, the idea of a life beyond all this pain.
I mean, can you even imagine the shock? His entire life, his whole worldview, just collapsed in a few days. This story captures it perfectly. How could he ever have imagined that he had suffered? Not compared to this. All his little palace frustrations, they were nothing. This was real suffering. So, faced with this crushing truth that his whole life had been a lie and that suffering was real and unavoidable for everyone, Siddhartha makes this just radical decision. He gives it all up. His title, his family, his riches, his future as a king. He slips out of the palace in the middle of the night to become a wanderer, dead set on one thing, finding a way to end suffering for good.
And that one single choice sent him down this long, incredibly difficult path, a years-long ordeal, all in the search for answers.
He wandered for 6 years. Just think about that for a second. 6 years of being homeless, begging for every single meal, just this intense, non-stop search. This wasn't some spiritual gap year. This was his entire life dedicated to solving the problem of human pain. And during this time, going by his family name, Gautama, he tried everything. He went to the smartest scholars, but pure knowledge wasn't the answer. He tried devotion to the gods, but faith alone didn't stop the suffering. So he turned to the one thing left, trying to conquer his own body. And this is where things get really intense. He falls in with these extreme aesthetics. Their whole philosophy was that if you punish the body, you can free the spirit. Gautama took this to the absolute edge, starving himself until he was literally just skin and bones, right on the verge of death. But it was right there, at his lowest point, about to die, that the real breakthrough finally came. This is maybe the most famous part of his whole story, the awakening under the Bodhi Tree. As he's lying there, practically dead, a young village girl named Sujata finds him. She just sees this starving, holy man and offers him a simple bowl of sweet rice. And this tiny act of kindness was like a lightning bolt. He realized that torturing his body was just another dead end. It wasn't leading to wisdom, it was just leading to death. And from that one moment, he discovered what he would later call the middle way. He finally got it. The path wasn't in the extreme pleasure of his old palace life, and it wasn't in the extreme pain of his life as an ascetic. The real answer was somewhere in the middle. It was in balance.
So, with this new clarity, he sits down under a tree and makes a vow. I'm not moving until I find the answer. And this kicks off one last huge internal battle. The demon Mara, who's really just a symbol for his own inner chaos, throws everything at him: lust, anger, fear, doubt, the whole shebang. But Gautama doesn't fight back. His defense? It was just stillness, detachment, awareness.
And this was the big breakthrough. See, he didn't beat his demons by attacking them. Instead, he just became an unshakable witness to his own mind. He just watched the fear come and go. He watched the doubt arise and pass away. He didn't grab onto any of it. And with nothing to hold on to, the demons just poof. They lost all their power and disappeared.
And in that moment of stillness, Gautama woke up. He became the Buddha. And now, his job was to bring that wisdom, that elixir, back to the rest of the world.
What he achieved was nirvana. But it's so important to understand, nirvana isn't a place. It's not like heaven. It's a state of being. It's a state of pure consciousness, where suffering finally ends because the thing that causes it, the illusion of a separate self, is gone.
And that's the absolute core of his whole teaching, right here. The root of suffering is illusion, and the only way out is to stop believing in the separate self. He realized that our desperate attachment to this idea of me is what causes all our cravings, all our fears, all our pain. So he laid out his teachings in this really practical way called the Four Noble Truths. Number 1, hey, life involves suffering. It just does. 2, the reason we suffer is because of our attachment and our cravings. 3, the good news is you can end this suffering. And 4, the way to do it is to follow the middle way, a life of balance and awareness.
And so, that incredible journey, from a prince who knew nothing to a man who woke up, leaves us with the same profound question he posed to the world. A question for you to think about. If you are not your past, and you're not your thoughts, and you're not even your deepest fears, then who are you really?